Okay, so the four of us, me and mine, Oscar, and Felix and his Mrs. Francis, used to be the closest of friends. The whole Megillah. Dinners, parties, then came the kids, weekends in the Catskills, brunch, bagels and lox from Zabar's, ice skating at Rockefeller Center, you know the deal. So the day that I called it quits with Oscar, I phoned Francis right after, because that afternoon was the last straw. And Francis had heard me kvetching for years about what a slob Oscar was and how he just ignored my needs. And Oscar and I had thought about separating, we'd even discussed it, but that day when I overheard him telling our son not to bother picking up his laundry off the floor, that Mommy would do it. That was it. They were in Joey's room and I was halfway down the hallway and I crept to the door and I peeked in and Oscar took his unlit, putrid cigar stub from his smelly mouth and he said, "You know Mommy huffs and puffs about clothes on the floor. Let her. She'll put all this in the laundry when she's sick and tired and can't stand it anymore. And even if she doesn't, so what?" He wiggled his eyebrows like Groucho, like it was some hilarious secret boys-only pact. I walked in like la-di-da. I told Joey, go outside and play. And I said to Oscar, there's a garbage can in the corner right next to the desk. And I said, that's it. And he knew I wasn't kidding around because there were no hysterics. And then I dialed 411 for the number for a locksmith, and I had our front door lock changed while Oscar ran around trying to pick up all of his and Joey's stuff on the floor like that was some grand argument makeup gift to me. And when the locksmith finished, I took the second key, the one that should have been his, opened the window to the back courtyard 11 flights below, and tossed it out the window behind the building. "You're out, strike 3. No more therapy and tears. So less than a year later, Francis calls me, "Blanche, you're not going to believe this. You and I are going to be single together." I didn't register what she was saying right away. I knew Felix was a compulsive and nervy neat freak, and it had driven her to the loony bin as much as Oscar's grossness had driven me nuts. And we used to joke, "Dear God, please, can't we switch our husbands for one day each week?" But she reached her point of no return as well. Apparently, she caught him rewashing her diaphragm and redusting it with cornstarch. And if that wasn't bad enough, he was straining the cornstarch through a small kitchen sieve using one of her mother's sterling demi-tasse spoons. And I'm not really sure what frosted her butt the most, but the fact that he rewashed her diaphragm or used her sterling of her mother's, in any case, she had already cleaned the damn thing and put it back in its case and up in the medicine cabinet. I guess it just wasn't spick and span enough for Mr. Health Department himself. So now we're two gals out looking for fun, for guys to go to the movies with, maybe more, something to break up the routine of kids and school and groceries and housework. But Francis, I don't know. She's morphed into a femme fatale. Okay, she's become the teenage nympho class slut of the Upper East Side. Don't get me wrong, I like to gussy up and flirt when we hit the bars on 2nd Avenue, but I don't dress like a working girl, and I don't bed hop. Recently, right before we were to go out, she called me over at the last minute and had me cut her hot pink leather mini skirt even shorter while she had it on as she stood on the table. She couldn't hold her horses long enough to take it to a tailor to do a decent job. I'm not a sewer. I'll look like Helen Keller cut it. She had me cut that skirt so short her tushy cheeks were headlining the Upper East Side and making a surprise guest appearance if she reached for a drink at the bar. She's put on a little weight lately, which she claims to adore. I don't care, but she's always bragging to me that now she has a zoptic chest. She goes, "Blanche, guys like something they can grab onto." She might be onto something because she's really been busy between the sheets. But if I'd been married to a man who had to have sex once a week on freshly laundered sheets that he had starched and ironed on the bed. I might go a little nutty myself, but again, who am I to judge? I mean, she told me once Felix had berated her because he couldn't bounce a quarter off the bed after she made it. And he remade the bed and bounced it to demonstrate to her. He kept a chart of their weights near the bathroom scales. I think he got her brain totally flummoxed because one day she confessed to me, and I didn't ask, mind you, that she had put on way too much weight, and 5 minutes later asked me for outfit made her look thin. I could tell she wanted me to say yes. I said, yeah. She goes, too thin? Anyway, recently, I found a guy I like. I met him at the Y, where he and I take a ceramics class on Saturdays. We started going out. He got my number. He called. We had a few dates. And, it was nice. And I admit I was a little scared. I was on the somebody new was going to see me naked diet. And I should cut out a few calories before I meet a new penis. It's crazy what we put ourselves through. Oscar never mentioned anything to me about my body. Why do I? Anyway, I met Frances for coffee one morning, and we were shooting the breeze, and I started telling her about how I met this guy and how he's a lab tech at Mount Sinai, makes extra monies in Henning. She goes, wait, is his name Jerry? I said, yeah. She goes, Presapio? I said, yeah. Do you know him? She goes, no, but a friend of mine is stooping him, I think. And she turned white as Moby Dick and clammed up on who on earth, I wondered. Could she know who was seeing the same guy? It was so startling. I didn't press her for details. I was still trying to figure out how he was seeing someone else besides me, since he claimed to be so super busy. And I knew Frances was upset because she kept adjusting her bra like those girls hadn't been out for coffee with us all morning. And she jumped up saying that she had a dental cleaning and dashed out. And when I left the coffee shop, I saw her on the corner in the phone booth talking with a lot of gusto, shall we say. And in the pit of my stomach, I knew she was the friend. She was the one boomsoning Jerry. Great. My best gal, my confidant, the one I go out and mingle with singles with, is doing the nasty nasty with the only other guy I've had sex with since I married Oscar. It's like, I can't get away from messes. Not Oscar's, not Frances's. She's now who I'm competing for Jerry the lab tech with. The girl with the biggest bosoms and shortest skirts on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. Can you believe this? Of all the divorcees in the most crowded island in this goddamn world, this guy is boinking both of us. It's kind of worse than Oscar and Felix living together ever since the night Felix was too persnickety to jump out of a hotel window he couldn't open because it was too filthy. And went to live with Oscar instead. Oh, that's got to be a living hell, those two cooped up in Oscar's disgusting pig pen of an apartment. What a scene that must be. I bet good money a fist fight has already erupted. I can just hear Felix telling Oscar that only a saline moistened Q-tip will clean your navel lint. I'm going to go shorten my skirt and head out on my own. Yeah, by myself. Now that I know about Hussy Frances and 2nd Avenue Stud Muffin Jerry. My mother once said to me when she had had way too much to drink one night, honey, sometimes the fucking you're getting isn't worth the fucking you're getting.